Hello, you're welcome to Timeless Conversations. Today I have a guest who is more like a sister and who has made such great inroads in the art and science of broadcasting, production, and impacting many, many lives.
Funmi Iyanda is a talk show host, broadcaster, film and TV producer, media executive, philanthropist, and journalist. She produced and hosted a talk show, New Dawn with Funmi Iyanda, which aired on the NTA network for over 8 years. Famed for her intelligent, nuanced, and irreverent interview style. In 2011, Funmi Iyanda was honored for her web series by the World Economic Forum and named one of Forbes' 20 youngest powerful women in Africa. On November 25, 2015, Funmi Iyanda received an honorary fellowship from the University of Cumbria in recognition of her significant contribution to global human rights and sustainability. She was the first African woman to receive the award. She is a fellow of the Aspen Institute World Global Leaders Program. Currently, Funmi is a director at Creation Television, a film production company in the United Kingdom, acquiring classic African literary content for film adaptation to a global audience. She's also the founder of Change a Life Foundation, a social non-profit organization that acts as a bridge between exceptional but indigent youth and women and the individuals, agencies, and organizations with the capacity and willingness to meet these people's needs. Funmi is a member of the African Leadership Institute, a Tutu Fellow, and a participant of the Aspen Institute's Forum for Communications and Society. In 2012, she was honored by the then Lagos State Governor Babatunde Raji Fashola for her commitment to gender advocacy as she returned from a 5-day UN advocacy trek up Mount Kilimanjaro. The climb was organized by the UN to raise global awareness on its campaign to end violence against women and girls, and it brought together climbers from more than 32 African countries in a historic advocacy journey up Mount Kilimanjaro. Funmi Iyanda has served on the board of Farafina Trust and Positive Impact Youth Network. She actively participated in the Occupy Nigeria series of protests in January 2012. The protests were to resist the implementation of the government's fuel subsidy removal policy. Recently, Funmi Iyanda started another show, The Public Eye. The show connects people with stories to share, experts and institutions to discuss contextual issues with the aim of seeking innovative action. Funmi Iyanda, you're welcome, Funmi.
It's really good to see you. I'm so pleased to be here with you.
It's really lovely to have you here. You know, I remember when you started back in the year 2000, I think, about 2000.
Even earlier, even before I knew that, yes. Because I've known you since the 90s.
Exactly.
When I was just coming out of university.
So, you know, don't make me feel too old. Now, I remember seeing you as somebody who was so focused. In fact, I used to say to myself, this baby is too focused, though. I hope she does not bust something. What's been your drive?
I mean, I don't even know that I am focused.
Oh yeah, you are.
Because I don't know any other way to be. But I've always been a bit intense. You know, even as a child, I was an intense child. My friends used to say that all my child photographs, I was scowling because I was thinking intensely. Yes. You know, so I mean that's just the way I am. But I've always had a sense that I came here for a purpose. And I want to achieve the purpose. You know, when I remember as far back as maybe being a 9-year-old or an 8-year-old and sitting in front of our house in Shomolu and looking up at the stars and just being completely fascinated and enthralled by it and also feeling small at the same time. That look at this wonder that we belong to. I already had a sense that we were living in a magical world and we were part of it. It was awe-inspiring. and also scary. So it was a lot of thoughts always going on in my head, even from quite young.
So that focus has always been there.
Yes.
So the intensity,
It's intensity.
a drive to understand your environment.
Yeah, I don't do half measures. I'm either on or off. I'm not a
Okay.
dimmer.
So now, if you're either on or off, why did you go off New Dawn?
New Dawn was done. I burned brightly.
Yeah.
And to be able to burn, you can't burn, even volcanoes, they would simmer down and then they will burn.
Yeah.
It's only natural that you need fallow time, to be able to come, to heal, to regenerate, so that you have the energy to carry on like that. So New Dawn, I'd done it for 8 years, almost daily. I started as a kid, running around, running wild. And New Dawn was tough to do. People didn't know that New Dawn was my idea and my production.
Yeah.
So I was producer, director, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
I had this great team at NTA who supported me. The likes of Mr. Duru, Auntie Comfort, Auntie Helen, they were there.
Yeah.
But basically it was me doing the work daily. And it took a big toll. We're also selling and marketing. Things have changed now.
Yes.
I always tell the kids that you don't know what we went through at that time. There were very few companies who could even advertise at that time. We didn't have a proper rating system. There was no technology. So people who were gatekeepers could stand in your way.
Sure.
So we had a lot of that where they're like, who does she think she is? Especially the she bit.
Yes.
Where then you didn't get advertisement just because people were upset with you. I mean, New Dawn, everybody was watching you. By the way, I didn't know how big New Dawn was.
Yes.
I was just doing my own thing. And you get to, you will go to companies, you go to advert agencies and all of that, and they'll say nobody's watching, it's in the morning. And I'm like, the feedback I get is everyone is watching. And it was basically just being bloody-minded, people just being bloody-minded, not wanting to do things. And I was facing the challenges on the end of the TV station wanting us to make, because of course it should be sustainable. Of course we should be making money for it to be sustainable.
Yeah.
But it was very difficult to make money given the way things were at that time. Also, you also had all these people, especially as things were changing, DSTV came and all of that. By the way, I was the one that did the first interview for DSTV, I was the one that did the first interview for MTN. All of them came at that time. And you had people who were coming and they would say, I remember somebody who was supposed to be headhunting. And it was interesting, a non-Nigerian had said to him, Funmi is the brightest thing on TV, you have to work with her. And I remember I came to his office. Later on, as I came into myself as a woman, I understood what was going on. He was just intimidated by me.
Yeah.
But then I didn't realize, I was trying to convince him, make him serious. And he said to me, I don't watch local TV. Even my mother cannot make me watch TV. I remember thinking then, you don't respect your mother, do you? In my mind, but I never said so.
Yes.
But then you were facing all sorts of things.
Yes.
All of it, now that I have the experience to understand, I realized it was nothing to do with me. It was other people's own issues, but it did affect how much we could do. By the 8th year, I had no more. I'd given all that I could give. I felt that done. It was done.
It was like some burnout.
It was like born through.
Whoa.
It was done.
Yeah.
It was the time that and I took a decision and I announced it on TV. Nobody believed me because I didn't even discuss it with anyone. I just announced on TV that at this particular day, I was going to stop. And I had a strong inclination of what was going to happen next. In fact, a friend of mine in London used to say to me that he watched, not being Nigerian, he said when he watched on YouTube the last show that I virtually said that you have to die to be reborn. I don't remember saying it.
Saying that.
What I did realize that we needed a fallow period, because I'd given a lot of my energy, a lot of my brain power and everything. It was time for New Dawn to bow out.
So, New Dawn was done.
New Dawn was done, yes.
All right, well, you said you knew what you were going into, because I was going to ask you, right, what then did you go into? What are you doing now?
So, I mean,
Well, first you moved out of Nigeria.
Not immediately. I wanted, because I'd spent 8 years in the studio talking to people, crossing my legs, painting my face.
I still crossing.
I still cross my legs. I wanted to go around Nigeria. I've always loved traveling around Nigeria.
Okay.
I gave my father a lot of headache growing up because around age 17 or 19, I would just go on those J4 buses and just go to Tom End, go to Katsina, go to Kafansha, go to, on my own.
Are you kidding?
Yes. Because I used to make the excuse I was going to visit my older sister, my half sister, Auntie Metoyin, who was married to an army officer.
Yeah.
And the old man, there was no cell phone. I just disappeared. Even my sister wouldn't know I was coming.
Yeah.
I would show up in her house and she would be like, "Oh, effect power," because I show up, in the wrong part of the country wearing jeans, where you're supposed to cover up. She's like, it's not like that now. But I had no idea.
Yes.
But I wanted to go around the country because New Dawn had given me an opportunity to talk to so many kinds of people. And I could see the gap between policies and people.
Okay.
And I wanted to bridge that.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring the people making the policies and the people who are at the receiving end of the policies together without any hierarchical break between them, which was what we did. I then did talk with Funmi. We went around the country, with a crew of 35 people. It was big.
How are you able to fund that?
So what I do is, because I learned from New Dawn, you're either pre-selling or you're selling adverts. I mean, of course, even all of that has changed. Technology has changed so much. I find it really exciting what's possible going forward. But at that time, what we did was pre-sell. So what I did was got the investment together. So I raised $1 million, to be able to, remember at the beginning that I started my own production company.
Yeah, I remember that.
In 1996.
Yes.
So I've always run my own production company.
You've
so
always been your own boss.
When I was young, I had a sense that I was not really employable.
Because of your intensity?
Because of my intensity, and also, I just had the sense that I just go and do my own thing. And so that informed what I was doing. So I raised the investments and funding for that. And then we also pre-sold, to different organizations, segments ahead to be able to do, which helped me eventually, because when we then faced losses, including fraud, massive fraud, I was able to recover because I didn't have big loans.
Well, right.
Of course, that came later because you can't do business without loans.
You can't, certainly.
But so I did that. And then I wanted, because at that time my daughter was at sort of like the age where I wanted her to go to school in England, to go to boarding school in England. And I didn't want her to be there on her own. I wasn't going to leave her in a new culture on her own. So I wanted to also be there with her, because I was particularly wanted to do, because I'd done, New Dawn was very newsy. It was daily, every day. So you have to always react. And for me, with that kind of intensity, I'm reacting with every fiber of my being. I wanted to then write. I wanted to do long form. Because long form allows the kind of reflection that I'm better at. My voice is better reflective than reactive. Which meant I wanted to do like documentaries and films and shorts and things like that. And so that's why I got a partner and we started a company in the UK to be able to do that, with the view that I'll be going and coming. Because I've always seen sort of like the different parts of the creative industry in Nigeria, as at that time, it's becoming better now, kind of worked parallel instead of working together. So you have literature that wasn't coming together with filmmaking. So what's the use of, there's no need to write new stories when there are so many stories already written and more stories being written, and so on and so forth. So those are the things I wanted to marry. I also saw what was going to happen with tech. And I found tech very exciting.
Each time you talk of tech, you light up. Yes,
because, I don't like to be held down. I don't like to always be talking about what's not possible. There must always be a way. And what tech does is that good tech, bear in mind, I'm also not a fan of good or bad. Everything is just a tool.
You just implied good and bad now.
So that's why I stopped myself.
Okay.
And I said, it's the way you use it. So if you are using the tech with a lot more wisdom, there's so much we can do, because it sort of takes all the old power structures and it shakes it up. And if the old power structures was too restrictive, it means that you can create some new power structures which can also start to challenge what is. And that means that you can rise. So you can solve a problem either from the warm side view, but sometimes you come like an eagle from the top down. So I like that tech can do that. It can just come up. Look at what happened in our industry.
Yeah.
You know, just tech changed it, whether you like it or not. So
It's
like,
still changing.
It's still changing.
Yeah.
We're in entropy. We're in this period where it's still a bit chaotic.
Yeah.
But it's exciting what's happening and what's going to happen. So what happened to me, you know, with New Dawn, for example, couldn't have happened to a young person now in that same way, because you can't just say, oh, nobody's watching. The views are there.
Yeah, the
you know,
views.
I just be telling you, full of
the likes, the clicks, and all that.
Exactly, it's all there. You
Yeah.
know, so it's exciting in that regard. And if you extrapolate it to more than just tech, you know, even if you think about what it means, in that it is an idea of taking the core, and the machine can learn, you know, and it learns from what is core programming it, and begin to act in a certain way.
Yeah.
If you take it to other aspects of life and living, I think it brings us closer to the idea of creation.
Okay, we'll take a break now. We'll be back with Funmi Iyanda. Stay tuned. Welcome back. It's still Timeless Conversation. My guest is Funmi Iyanda. Yes, Funmi, we were talking about what you did next after New Dawn, when New Dawn was done.
Yeah.
I like the rhyme of that.
Yes.
Okay, now, you moved around Nigeria a little bit, made some inroads in terms of having guests, meeting people in their communities, in their locale, but you stopped it again.
No, I mean, and we must come back to the back end of production in the country. So that was 13 documentaries. It was 13 full-length documentaries.
Okay.
And that would be one of the first productions. I don't know if there was any other place out of Africa that was nominated at both the Banff Festival and the Monte Carlo Festival in the documentary category of its own, not in an Africa category, not in a female category, not in any of the sub-categories. It was there with the big boys.
Okay.
It was Bam Bam with these big boys. Do you know what I mean? So critically, it was really successful. I remember flying to SA and being in the mall and people telling me that they saw these documentaries on DSTV at that time. So it was really successful. It's back to the same issue again back here. In that, and that's, we must really think about it at the end of the day. It's the same thing for the tomato seller and the pineapple seller and those of us selling content. If you have a situation where the economy is struggling, and when the way to determine when the economy is not struggling as much is really in terms of productivity, how many products can be made in that country. Because at the end of the day, if you watch Korean dramas, for example, they have all these placements of all sorts of things, from phones to coffee to it's all made there. Or global companies that are operating out of that country. So if you don't have the robust economic back end, it will also show in everything, because at the end of the day, what is the amount of the total advert spend in Nigeria, you know, or media spend in Nigeria, vis-a-vis the number of media platforms in Nigeria. Even those of us who have risen to the top of it and make money, really, how much do you make to make the back end make sense? So do you make enough money? Look at the movies that are being released. What is the highest grossing cost of how much do the highest grossing movies make? There was a point when I wanted to partner with some Chinese investors to set up 200 screens in Nigeria. Actually, Lagos alone, because we did the research. And for Lagos alone, if you want to start breaking even, as at that time, you need to have up to 200 screens.
Are you kidding?
You understand? So actually, for it to make sense, you know, for what we're doing. But that didn't happen. I don't want to go into the stories of why that didn't happen. It wasn't for lack of trying. You know, that didn't happen. So the back end is key. And the back end is back to the infrastructure of everything. You know, as it is difficult to sell tomatoes, that is how it is difficult to sell content in an environment where, for example, even like Netflix has come into Nigeria and all of that, the amount of money they'll commission stuff in Nigeria is not the same amount they'll commission even in South Africa. You know, back to really what your market value is. You know, so there's no shortcut to solving our bigger problems. That said, of course, there are new ways, and there are more extensions of ways to make money in the back end for content in Nigeria. I mean, this is not the whole conversation where we can go into that, but really, we have to look at the back end of everything. How much money really can you make from it? And can the money sustain what you are doing and grow it further?
But making money from it presupposes that you even have funding to
So
start
that's what I'm saying.
it.
It's a lot of things, because so what we see and envy in other countries, we don't pay enough attention to how it is done. So for example, people are always talking about, oh, you know, we should tell African stories. I smile. You know,
I'm one of those who says that.
You know, I mean, I think that we should talk to ourselves first before we're even worried about what people are thinking about us. You know, we overvalue the opinion of other people. We don't value ourselves. We don't value our people.
But isn't that why we should tell our own story?
To ourselves.
Yes, first.
You understand?
Yes.
So we won't be talking about telling African story, because we didn't wake up this morning and think first and foremost I'm African. I think I'm Nigerian.
That's what I'm
You
saying.
understand? So in Nigeria,
Yes.
first and foremost, we need to talk to ourselves. How do we talk to ourselves? What do we say to ourselves?
What's
Every
our
day.
reality?
So what does reality mean?
Reality.
And what lens are we looking at reality from?
Yes.
We have also learned that through what tech has done with media in the world, that everything really can be manipulated.
Yes.
Opinions can be manipulated. And the challenge with some of that is that once you believe something, especially if you have the collective believing something, you will replicate it over and over again. All of my life, I've known us to do nothing but complain about Nigeria. Not because there are no issues in Nigeria. There are big issues in Nigeria. But I used to think that when we complained about Nigeria, it was because we wanted to do something. I've realized that we have what I call trauma bonding in Nigeria. We truly just, and it's understandable because these things have happened and they are horrible. We just want to talk about them. Oftentimes when we've come to the point of let's do something, I've always seen it's sort of pushed back. That is not to say there are no people doing things in Nigeria. People doing amazing and excellent things. We don't pay attention to them either.
Who is that pushback from?
All of us.
Yeah, but then we can't keep saying it's all of us. Some of us may complain and also offer solutions.
I've always taken myself out of it, and now I've taken myself off more than before, more consciously. I'm paying attention to those doing extraordinary things. I'll give you an example. In EU, there's Father Anselm and the laboratory where they are doing all the research.
Yes, that's in Benin.
You know, it's not only doing the research, it's writing books about how to do community development, you know, the overall Nigerian development from the community level. You know, these are things that should be in curriculums in universities. These are things that we should be discussing. The other day I went to FIRO, the Federal Institute of Industrial Research. They've been shut since last year. I didn't even know that. I wanted to go and find some researchers for some things. They've been shut since last year. I shared it here. If you look at that place, it's right between Oshodi and Mushi.
Yes.
Oshodi should have been a big transport hub.
Yes.
Mushi is a vibrant, incredible commercial, and right in the middle of it is a research. The three should be working together, hand in hand. So what I'm saying, let us not get it mixed up. I'm not saying we don't have issues. I'm saying we have to come to the point where we go beyond Yepa.
Hey, but see, if we go beyond Yepa, we must also arrive at Ewa Wele. Right, this is what we have. Yepa is hey, what's going on?
Wele, all my life. I'm 50 now.
Yeah, congratulations.
I'm 50 now. You know why I say it? I'm actually going to be 51. Why I say it is that as far back as even I can remember, this is what we do.
You see,
this is our thing.
I understand what we do.
And the challenge with that is that we are, and this is not to say we don't want to. It's like the other side. You said, oh, you know, I heard when you said, okay, so what you would do. I'll give you a practical example. The elections are coming up next year.
Yes.
I don't know how we got lucky, but you know, in passing the bills, I think they were too focused, electoral reform.
Yes.
I think they were too focused on stopping women from ending up in power. They did not pay attention to some of the things that have been passed. It's going to be much more difficult to rig elections in the next election.
It will be.
This is a big win. It is also going to be easier to register to vote for all of us. It means that to be able to swing the election, you will need to do vote buying. It means that for anybody who is serious, you know, they have to now start engaging people from community level, ensuring they are registered, ensuring they know them, ensuring how it works from word to word. You know, because at the heart of all of this is poor leadership. Behind poor leadership is disengaged followership. You know, I'm not saying we don't have problems. I've used this example many times before, that if I come with you now, Mr. Agumbawo, and I say, Mr. Agumbawo, my house is down the road. Come and follow me. Let's go and eat a bar in my house. When I get to my house, and my house is a mess, my reaction If I said, kò lè dá fún léyìí, and I just start going on, this house is a mess. Can you see the mess in the house? You are not blind. You can see the house is a mess.
Yes.
My natural reaction should be, gosh, what has happened here? Okay, Mr. Agumba, please wait. Let's make it another day. Let me clean my house. When I finish cleaning this, I will call you back.
Or I should join you in cleaning it.
Or ask
because
you,
I'm
help me with this?
parcel of it. Yes.
That's what I mean practically.
Yes.
That we need to do.
The practicality also should include us telling our story where it is positive. We've told enough of the negative.
But
that's
we're
what
saying
I'm
the
saying.
same thing.
Yes, we are.
So that's what I'm saying. That
Yes.
we cannot continue to trauma bond. What we do is trauma bonding. Every day, they kidnap my mother. The other day they kidnapped my own father too. In fact, they kidnapped 3 people in my family. What I want to hear is, what are we going to do? Because if we as people really change our minds, our leaders will know that we have changed our minds.
Yes.
I'm not saying it is easy. I'm not blaming us. We're all in this together. It's hard.
Yes, I know it is
but
hard.
I'm saying, and I'm not saying, I'm not even, notice I didn't say celebrate or not celebrate. I'm not saying we shouldn't tell our story. I'm asking us, what story do we tell ourselves? Are we talking about the likes of Father Ansley? Are we talking about the boy that's making solar power in Borno? Are we talking about even you that are sitting here? I came for this show because I know who you are, Mr. Agumba.
Yeah.
I know who you are.
Thank you.
I want to tell your stories the way it is.
Yeah.
I want to hear the story. If I say to, and I've seen this happen, if I pitch to a bank, for example, that we want to do, development talk in the area of content and all of that, and that the keynote speaker should be Mr. Agumba, they'll say, no, we should go and bring somebody from London. We should go and bring somebody from America.
Because that's where they have tilted their attention to.
2 things. One is a racket.
Yes.
Somebody's going to be able to make money, more money that way, because they're changing dollars.
Yeah.
The other one, we don't value our own people.
That's true.
It's a simple matter of not value. We overvalue others.
In fact, you see, talking about not valuing our own stuff, right, is actually at the heart of this cry to tell our story. For instance, this is going to be very controversial. Most times, people who come from our society, and I mean generally, right, they have this notion that for someone to come from a polygamous background, as they say, you have missed something. That, you should have been ideal if your parents were one man, one wife. My father had 4 wives. You understand what I'm saying? I relate with all of my siblings. In my family, there's nothing like a half brother, half sister. Is either a brother or a sister? You understand? My mother was the first wife. You get? Now, I have friends whose parents were just my wife and I know what their families look like, right? Their families are not half as close as my family is.
I think that we are telling our stories. I think we don't value our storytellers.
That's it.
I think this example you have given, in any community, people know this. If they say they are backward.
Yeah.
You understand? Even in terms of people telling stories, if I go back to content itself, remember what I told you about New Dawn, what our own people said?
Yes.
That I don't watch NTA, and I don't watch you, and I know this. I get that feedback all the time. The same thing I will see. They will say, even the music. Until recently, nobody cared about Nigerian music. The only reason why they are now making a lot more noise is because other people like it. So everybody is happy because somebody else has told us that they like it.
There are even Nigerian banks that don't advertise on Nigerian media.
Exactly. So when we talk about telling our stories, that's what I mean. We don't lack. It's like when they say, for example, they don't call me anymore because I think maybe I'm no longer a woman or maybe I'm not successful. They don't call me to all these successful women programs to come and talk. And I'm thinking, but I haven't heard you call somebody, maybe not even the Yaloja. In most locality, there will be women in that locality who have done amazing work in terms of, being able to build an enterprise, who are deep thinking. They may not speak English, or they may not speak English the way we want them to speak it, but they are successful women. Why is nobody talking to that one? Because we don't value them. So whether it is in the area of commerce, it is in the area of content or anything, we already have everything we need. We don't. It's the same thing with our food. I can't tell the number of people who say to me, for example, oh, I'm sure you don't eat Nigerian food. That's why you look like this. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. If you want to ask me, I will tell you what I eat. I do eat Nigerian food. And the reason I eat it is because somebody was saying to me the other day, oh, I said, have you looked at the science behind some of the food? Do you know how complex it is to make ogi?
Yes.
It is a fermentation process.
Yes.
And everybody knows now that fermented food is good for your guts. Do you understand? Gari and fermentation. We don't even know what it is.
Yes.
What if you don't know it, how can you value it? So I'm just using these practical, so-called smaller examples to extrapolate into bigger things. So even, for example, in the area of leadership, the few people who are even doing good things, we're not able to ascribe them the real value and therefore to support them. Remember what I said about tech again.
Yes.
You get more of what you do. You get more of what you believe. If we don't believe in anything that is ours, you will get that thing will fall apart because you need the collective to come behind it to make it happen. So we are focused every day on the leaders, especially at the federal government level. We don't know who our ward chairman is. We don't know who our councillor is. We don't know who is supposed to repair the road. We don't challenge the system itself.
But we do even understand how the system should work.
It's meant to work. Thank you.
Do we?
So we don't. So changing things going forward involves engagement. And this is not me saying, oh, people should know, because they will say, oh, if people want to go abroad, this is part of our own development plan too. There have been countries, we've seen the example of other countries where their diaspora came to be useful for the country at the right time.
Yeah.
So everybody should follow their path. But the only thing I ask of everyone, and it's not in my place to ask, so maybe I shouldn't ask.
You should, please.
But my own challenge to anybody who wants me to engage is that I don't want to be co-opted into trauma bonding. There's enough trauma. I've had enough of it. I don't want to trauma bond anymore. I want to speak about what's possible, what I can do, with a full realization that I might not even be there to be part of it. It doesn't bother me.
Let me bring something close to you up, and that is value. Your dad, you were very close to your dad, very close. I've heard you speak about him in public before. Why did you grow up to be that close to your dad? Or how did you grow up being that close to him?
My dad was engaged. My dad was obviously openly loved his children and loved me. We grew up with my dad, myself and my 3 brothers mostly. So of course, that was the parents. So oftentimes, I'm not a fan of labels. When you hear things like single mother, I always smile as though there were no single fathers. So my father was a single father for many years, and it meant that it was us and him. And my dad was very reflective, very intelligent man. He loved music. He was very quiet, and he allowed us to be as people. Certainly allows me to be as a human being, first and foremost. In my own house, growing up with Mr. Iyanda, I didn't think there was anything I couldn't do if I just wanted to do it. He didn't give me that kind of feedback. So therefore, naturally, I was close to him. I also looked exactly like him. So maybe that also helped, because I couldn't deny being Mr. Iyanda's daughter, seeing as I looked exactly
like him.
Like Mr. Iyanda.
Well, what about your mom? You lost her at, you were 7 years old when she died.
Yeah, around about. Is
that an experience you want to tell me about?
I've written about it. I've talked about it.
I'm not reading a book now.
I've written about it. Yes, she did. I will say, like, some of the things is interestingly, there's fuel scarcity today.
Okay.
But as at the time it happened, this is like 40-something years ago. It was the same thing. We don't know for sure, but we think she must have been in a bus that had fuel, and it exploded and everybody died. Because that was what happened on the day we could no longer find her in Lagos.
So that's just like that's an image that you held on to.
You know, as a child, you know, you want to understand what has happened to your mother. All your mother is not there. So for many years, I held on to it. For many years, it tormented me, just thinking about how she must have suffered, how she's died, and all of that. But I've come to a bigger, I think, better understanding of us as human beings and our time on earth and what you do. And I do feel that my mother's spirit, you know, is well at rest.
Okay.
You know, it was a time. You know, everything happens as it is meant to be, and it's happened. You know, we're all here, all her children.
Sure.
You know, and I'm sure that somewhere her spirit's moved on to the next thing. You know, and so she's happy. And my own thing is to do my own bit. So when it's my turn, my time, I shall go on too.
You will take a bow.
I'll take a bow.
Yeah, but then
I'm good at taking bows.
Oh, well.
You know, and accepting them.
But like your dad, when it was time for him to go.
Yeah, that was a bit painful because, I mean, it was unexpected.
Yeah.
You know, when he passed, and I was told on phone.
Oh, no.
And I never forgot hearing that he's no more. And all I could hear myself screaming, but I wasn't consciously screaming.
Okay.
And I think if you've had that kind of story like ours, myself and my siblings, and you have the one parent who was remaining,
Who
and
was
then
like
he
the
passed
rock.
like that, and a shock, it was a big shock, you know, to me. I felt his spirit very powerfully. You know, and I wanted, more than anything else, just comfort him. I wanted to hug him.
Yeah.
You know, I just wanted really to hug him. And it took a while also to be able to, you know, overcome the sense of loss.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know,
father.
when we lose people who are dear to us, we like have a flashback and begin to look at stuff to say, oh, maybe I should have done this better, maybe I could have done that better. Was there anything like that for you?
I wish I spent more time with my dad. I mean, my dad was quite cool. I wish I spent more time talking to him. I was so busy trying to do the things that I wanted to do. I mean, that's one of the things that's changed for me.
Yeah.
I'm much more sat back. You know, I'm much more calm. I have a bigger trust in the universe than I did before. You know, and so I don't panic or stress as easily as before. So if it was today, me of today, I'd have spent more time just interviewing my dad, talking to him about his own life, his own experience, you know, a lot more of that I would have done. But you know, you get a sense that you can hear they've told you everything you needed to hear. So when you sit back and listen again to things you've heard before in the past with the eye of wisdom, you will hear that he already told you.
Yeah.
I feel now that everything my dad needed to tell me, he told me already.
He told you.
It was me who didn't hear it at that time.
So you were not the one hearing, okay.
Now I hear it.
We'll take another break now. Shortly we'll be back. Welcome back. I'm still having conversations with Funmi Iyanda. Now, you were the quintessential daddy's girl. Did you ever grow out of that holding, even in the sight of your brothers?
No, I mean, my brothers love me.
No, I didn't say they didn't love you.
I mean, what I mean is that I still get a sense, you know.
Yes.
So my own relationship with men is very interesting, I think. I don't worship men because I grew up with them.
That's
Do you
deep.
understand? In a very, you know, so I don't also outsource my own responsibility to men in that regard. But what that does is that I feel that it helps me because I don't have the expectations that society teaches women to have.
So you have to clear that. I don't outsource my own responsibilities to men. What does that mean?
To men, I mean, usually they teach you that a man must take care of you, a man must carry everything. I want, like my dad and my brothers, I want to share my life with a man. I don't want him to carry me as a burden on his head or his shoulder.
Oh, okay, that's it. Do
you know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
You know, I want to walk with him. I'm interested in him as a person. If I'm with you as a man, I'm with you for who you are, not what you can do for me.
Okay.
If you can do stuff, that's nice.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't bother me, because if you don't do it, somebody else will. There's no scarcity in the universe. There's no scarcity.
If you don't do it, somebody else
There's
will.
no scarcity in the universe.
That's another question you need
There's
to clear.
no scarcity. There's abundance. We're full. The world is full of abundance. God is abundance. You know, so if somebody doesn't do something,
Okay,
else will rise.
there would always be a way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So I don't have that worry. I think that makes it easier. It also makes it difficult because if you then have men who are raised a different way, you understand, their own expectations, they are confused that you are like that towards them. You know, but with time, I think that there's more understanding.
You actually sound very sympathetic towards men, because
I'm not. I'm sympathetic towards all human beings.
let me clear it now.
Yes.
Because what I hear you say now is different from what society generally believes, that, oh, men, they're not that responsible, so don't expect too much from them. In your case, you're saying, I feel that I have a responsibility towards them to bring something out of them.
I have a responsibility first and foremost to myself.
One.
You know, and then to all collectives, because we are all connected.
Yeah.
We are connected as human beings. We are connected as plants. Everything is connected. We are all part of the one universal creative power. You understand? So I don't therefore worship men.
Or women.
You know, I don't, or women. I don't overvalue anything.
Or anybody.
Or anybody.
Okay.
You know, so the expectation causes trouble oftentimes because we are the ones expecting all of this. Let people be who they want to be. Allow human beings be who they want to be. My mentor before, I mean, I don't really believe in mentorship and motherhood. She was just herself. She was a great presence in my life, you know, in the absence of a mother later on in life. And that was the late Miss Remy Lagos, Miss Remy Oshalake.
Oh, yes, yes.
She used to say something that I didn't understand too until later. You know, when I would be going, she would say, Funmi, well, we are all deviants now. We are all deviants. You know? All of us have capacity to be good or bad, whatever we consider good or bad to be. What we hope ourselves is to become more aware and more conscious of who we are and why we are doing what it is that we do.
It's strange that you say you're not very much into mentorship or on that concept. But I know that there are a lot of young people who look up to you.
People that I don't, when I say it, what I'm talking is I don't believe in labels.
Okay.
Because when you say, for example, mentor, it means that it's a give and give relationship.
Okay.
And for me, in the past, that has also been a problem. Everything in life is give and take. You can also learn from younger people.
Yes.
You can learn from anyone, and anyone can learn from you. I am driven, you know, I'm passionate, and I am biased towards capacity and talent. You know, I like anyone who wants to make things happen, who wants to come together and let us do things. So in that process, of course, many people have come through me and come through the things that I do. And so I do have, you know, generations and generations of people who are anti-Funmi's people. And I value them. You know, and I respect them. But they also know me, the ones who know me very well, that I don't allow other people to outsource their own responsibility to themselves, to me. So I've always said to people too, you know, don't come and be using auntie to give yourself a cop-out, an emotional cop-out from what is your own responsibility. Even our children have responsibility towards themselves, you know. It's our desire for our children to go to school, but at the end of the day, who is going to benefit from going to school? He or she. So it's important to encourage them to understand that you are doing it for yourself first and foremost.
Yeah.
You understand? With the aim of getting these results. And me, as your mother, I'm there with you. My job is to walk with you through life as you want to live it, because your life is not going to be mine. My own experience is not going to be hers. The world she's going to go will be different from mine.
Yes.
You know, and it's actually in my own best interest to observe the world that she is growing up to see what's next, to be truly, genuinely interested in what's next. I always say it, at least I say it now, that the best way to conserve and preserve the things you value is to move them forward so that they stay alive, so they are not a dead, inert thing that you have now become gatekeeper of. To be a gatekeeper of something is different to being a conserver of that thing. Okay. It's like everything else. If we want it to last, we have to move it to the next level.
Now, but in doing that, there must be some conscious effort on the part of the person, in this case yourself, to step out of the way and still keep an eye on the path. That's a strong thing to do.
Oh, but I told you I'm good at bowing out. I know how I know how to let people take the light. You know, people, I think that one of the challenges, especially in our kind of business, people are always afraid that, oh, I won't be relevant. I don't care about relevancy. You cannot be relevant because there's only one of you. And if you are walking your own path, you will walk your own path. So there will be some times where you'll be in blossom. It's important to study nature. A plant will bloom in the rainy season. In the dry season, it will conserve.
Yeah.
If anything is in bloom 24/7, something unnatural is going on.
It's going on, yeah.
And you will pay for it down the line. So I'm very happy watching other people in the light.
Now,
I enjoy it. I enjoy when it's my time. I step up, I do what I need to. I also know how to withdraw.
Being that happy now brings to mind, you've done a 13-series documentary on different parts of Nigeria.
That was in 2011.
Oh, no, Lan.
Since
So
then,
we're
I've
saying
done so many,
you've done
I never
that.
stopped working.
But then I'm saying that in media, in the media space, what next are you trying to do? I remember you said you were going to do some film productions.
Yeah, I mean, I have
Whatever
a film
happened
that's
to
on,
that?
Yeah, we did. The film is on Amazon,
Okay.
Working with Shadows. We adapted Judibia's book.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's on Amazon if anybody wants to watch it. You know, eventually it'll be on
That's
Netflix.
Working with Shadows.
Working with Shadows.
Okay.
It premiered at the London Film Festival in 2019, just before the pandemic. You know, before then, you know, as I said, I started a company in the UK and we do all sorts of things. You know, everything in the media we do, from consultancy to strategy to production. And we've done different, you know, projects and productions, including events. You know, the How to Fix Nigeria conversation with the Royal Africa Society, that was our brainchild too.
Okay.
And we did it for 4 years. You know, a lot of conversations, you know, from everything from history to where we are today.
Yep.
So I've always, in everything I do, there's a common thread of connection to the core of why things are the way they are. So this one that I'm doing now was started along with MacArthur Foundation. You know, I really, really, really admire MacArthur Foundation and the Nigeria MacArthur Foundation family. That's Dr. Kole Shetima and the likes of Amina, you know, and all the other officers there. You know, what I like about them, because you know, if you don't have confidence, you know, and if you don't know what you're doing, you cannot be with other people who are intense and are clear about what they want to do.
Intensity.
You know, they don't have those worries. They are quite clear what they want to do, and they support making that happen. You know, they come up with great ideas of how you can do it. They also show corrections, especially in an area that before now, in terms of the back-end funding, I'd never done anything with, you know, a grant-giving organization. I'd always done the commercial. So now we're doing both mix of commercial grants and all of that, you know. And the tutelage has always been, you know, through the support of MacArthur Foundation, because they support us in, you know, even just the governance bits, you know, especially for the NGO part of it. So we started Public Eye, and the idea of Public Eye was that we would do almost like village settings, like village circle. In our society, when something goes wrong, you call everybody, you sit down together, and you say, well, you, what happened? You, what happened? So there's no them say.
Yes.
You know, and that's what we wanted to do from community to community. But then COVID happened. So we couldn't go around community to community. So we decided to make it a studio show. And that's what Public Eye is. We bring, for all the stories you see in the news, what is the context of it? Where has the story gone since then? So that's what Public Eye aims to do, to take the news from news to context and hopefully to solutions, because then we bring those who are supposed to do something about it. You know, Public Eye has been very good for me in terms of streamlining what actually should be happening and how it should happen.
Okay.
You know, in that some organizations I didn't even know, you know, were still functioning in Nigeria or not functioning as they should be. We can then bring the people, not go and bring the politician, the civil servants themselves. The people whose job it is to do it, and say, oh God, so this didn't happen. Why? Okay, it didn't happen. I don't have a problem. My job, I'm not interested in shaming. Shaming doesn't work where you are post-shame. We're in an environment that is post-shame. I heard you mention then that, oh, we've become used to all these things. No. What has happened is that we have become helpless, and people have become, you know, that's why we also do the trauma bonding, because we don't know what to do. And once one is in that situation, we won't be able to see the light. I always use the story in the Bible, because it resonates with people, of Hagar, that the well was always there.
It was there.
She just couldn't see it.
In plain sight.
Yes, and what happened was that our eyes were open. So what I'm hoping for Nigeria is that maybe through Public Eye and other platforms like that, we will be able to see the wells that already exist.
In plain sight.
So that we can then fetch water.
But
and we can feed ourselves and our children.
You see, the issue of what is in plain sight and what should be happening, as well as who should be doing what, would require more intensity than what you just described. My example is this, and I need your reaction to it. Politically, the young people have been aloof. They are very active on social media, but they are not ready to go and stand in line to register or to even stay online to register to have a PVC. Yet without that, you cannot even vote anybody.
I mean, my first thing I would say is that I think generally we should leave young people and women alone. Because everything, if something happens here, they will say, find a way to blame the woman or blame young people.
I'm
or
not
blame
blaming.
The powerless.
We're saying what we're seeing.
I know what you are saying, and I agree with it, but I want to draw a caveat to some of these things. These young people grew up in a time and a world different from our own. Me and you in our time, we know that if you really feel strongly about something, you better enter the streets. They will shoot you. You will go back. That is not their own reality. It does not mean that our own way was better than theirs. We also don't fully understand their own way yet, unless we fully engage with it. Also, they have had more layers of that trauma bonding. So to rise, it's like something, they put this mattress on, you put the mattress on you. To be able to push yourself out, you need more velocity, you need more power to be able to do that. I think it will happen. I think one of the things I like to encourage people, and it goes back to that issue where I say that I have a big belief in the universe. We must see ourselves more than just nations and things like that. The nation that is Nigeria, relatively, is young. Our democracy is young. This current democracy started in 2000. You understand? And 2000 is a long time for things to have happened. It's also a short time for things to happen. And if you know, even with physics and things like that, you could be chipping away at something and it will take forever. The day it's going to move, everything will just go pa, 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 pa. I think that without us being able to say it, there's a lot that's going on. So much is going on that we're not fully aware of. I would like, if there was something I would like to do, is to encourage Nigerians to stop blaming one another. So the young people don't know, let them know. The ones who will hear, will hear.
You'll hear.
The ones who have not heard today will hear tomorrow. Hear what I said about both my dad and my auntie.
Yes,
some of the things they told me then, at the time, but I've come to understand it. So I would like, because continuous blaming encourages shame. Shame encourages inertia. That's how we raise children so here. We don't want them to disgrace us. One of the first things I told my own daughter was that you can never disgrace me. Because disgrace means it is external. It means I care about what those who don't know our own issue is think more than what I think. They don't know. They can only judge from the outside. They will only be looking at you. And that judgment and that's what is their responsibility. Leave them with it.
Parameters.
Me that I'm in the house, I know your issues now. So what you can do is be honest with me so we know where we are going. Let the data we are feeding, let it be correct. But in terms of shame, so in that regards, we are too easily ashamed as people. We should not have, we are post-shame already anyway. It's like the king is dancing naked. The other day I was in an interview, people were talking to me about this man that I say, my sister, we don't have light. Waiting concern me with this man matter. Whether it's man or woman, don't we need light first?
That's true. I was going to ask about your daughter. She's a full-grown woman now, young woman. What's been your experience raising her? How much of what your dad did to you have you done to her?
I mean, my dad didn't do, my dad was I don't know. I mean, what's...
It's a tricky question.
You know, so I didn't... My dad, exactly what my dad did not superimpose any belief on
That's
me.
what I'm saying.
So I did not superimpose any belief
On her.
on her. I encouraged curiosity. My dad also used to like to read. You know, even this interest in, you know, the society and how it's going on. I think part of it was from my dad, because my dad would be reading newspaper and we would read it together as a little girl.
Yeah.
You know, so I do that. I did as much of that as I can. You know, with children, they are their own human beings who have come on their own journey. You know, so for me, it has been fascinating just watching how she is navigating her own human experience.
Okay.
I always say to her that I want to grow old, you know, a grand old woman, because I truly want to see different versions of you, different iterations. I want to see you as iPhone 4, iPhone 6,
Yeah.
iPhone 13, iPhone, you know, different versions of you as you come into yourself. That's my own parenting experience.
So may that be granted as you look
Amen.
forward to it. So finally, let me ask Funmi, what's next?
What's next?
Yeah.
You know, now is next. We're only sure of now, this moment where me, I'm fully here with you like this in the present.
Yes.
I'm looking at you, I see you.
Yeah.
You know, I see, even when I look at you now, I see the old you and I see the new you. And I see how it is that you've maintained that, you know, there's an inner person.
Yeah.
That's the way I see that sitting here. You know, and that's what I do here is what, you know, determines what's next. In terms of you know, my work and all projects, Oya Media runs independent of me. Seki, whom you know, and a few other people that you don't know, you know, are fully in charge of Oya in the here. You know, I have other entities. I've learned also not to talk about what I'm doing because you dissipate the energy into the universe. You want to conserve energy. You know, but as you've known throughout my life, I will always work, you know, in one way or the other. Also, suffice to say that I have things that I'm working on that excites me in my belly.
Okay.
And I just ask all the time that I get the time, the resources, you know, the people, because people matter, you know, the co-workers, the co-visioners to bring it to pass. Because the more each and every one of us actualize ourselves, the more we contribute to the society at large.
All right. So Funmi, thanks so much.
Thank you.
For 1 full hour of gist.
I hope I didn't run your ears off.
And catching up. It's been nice.
Up,
yes, so it's been...
My love to your children, especially Lucky.
Lucky, oh yes, Lucky is doing so well, yes. Thank you so much for watching. It's been Conversations, Timeless Conversations with Funmi Iyanda. Funmi, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Next time, we'll bring somebody else who will be as interesting. Likon Ogumbanwo. Thank you.